This is the story of a young homeless mother named Maryam and a respected billionaire named Karim. One was struggling to survive in the cold with a hungry baby in her arms. The other had everything: wealth, power, comfort. But on a quiet morning in the streets of Casablanca, their destinies crossed in a way no one could have imagined. And what happened next will move you deeply. It was 6 a.m., the early dawn barely illuminating the winding alleys of Casablanca. The city was still mostly asleep, but the sharp chill of the morning wind cut through the streets, slipping through cracks in the old buildings and stirring loose papers on the ground. Maryam sat crouched at the base of a cracked wall, clutching her tiny daughter Lina close to her chest. The baby, no older than 8 months, was wrapped in a thin, threadbare shawl, barely enough to keep out the cold. Her little hands occasionally reached out, weak from hunger. Miriam's eyes were heavy with exhaustion and anxiety. Her clothes were ragged, stained, and soaked from the damp night air. She hadn't slept for 2 nights, nor had she eaten in nearly as long. Despite her misery, Miriam did not cry out or beg loudly. Instead, she whispered lullabies to Lina in a soft voice, hoping to soothe her restless baby. Her gaze was fixed quietly on the street, searching for any sign of kindness. A glance, a smile, a helping hand. But the busy city passed her by. People hurried to work or school, avoiding her gaze. Some looked at her with disgust. Others simply ignored her existence altogether. The world was alive around her, yet she was completely invisible. Not far away, the morning sun glinted off the polished shoes of Karim El-Mansouri as he descended the marble steps of a 5-star hotel. His immaculate white suit was pressed perfectly, and a luxury watch glinted on his wrist. At 35, Karim was the CEO of a leading chain of private hospitals across North Africa, a man accustomed to control, precision, and power. His life was worlds away from the hardship on the streets below. That morning, he was preparing for an important meeting with international investors, a deal that could expand his medical empire further across the continent. Sliding into his sleek black car, Karim felt the cool leather under his hands as his driver smoothly pulled away into Casablanca's bustling morning traffic. As the city sped past, Karim's gaze caught a glimpse of movement near a street corner. Against a worn, crumbling wall stood a young woman, wrapped in rags, shivering in the cold. She held a baby close, small and fragile. Their eyes met for a moment. Hers were tired and filled with silent pain. His eyes softened, touched by an unexpected empathy. Without a word, Karim lowered the car window. "Stop the car," he said quietly but firmly. His driver, surprised, obeyed immediately. Karim stepped out into the cold air, approaching the woman with calm and respect. "Hello, ma'am. Is your daughter all right?" he asked gently. Maryam looked up, hesitant but desperate. "She's hungry. She hasn't eaten since yesterday." Karim took in her worn clothes, the pale blue tint of cold on her fingers, and the fragile baby nestled in her arms. "Come with me," he said simply. After a long pause, Maryam nodded slowly. Karim led Maryam and Lina to a small bakery, tucked between colorful shops. The air inside smelled of fresh bread, sweet spices, and warm ovens. He ordered a humble breakfast: hot milk, freshly baked bread, boiled eggs, dates, and orange juice. Maryam sat down with Lina, feeding the baby first. Lina drank eagerly, her small hands gripping the bottle with newfound strength. Then Maryam took a small bite herself, each mouthful a painful relief, tears silently rolling down her cheeks. Karim watched quietly, seeing not just poverty, but the fierce love of a mother. After a while, he spoke softly. "Tell me your story." Miriam took a shaky breath. "My husband, Youssef, was a delivery driver. One day, he disappeared without a word. I waited for him to come back, but he never did. When I gave birth, I was alone. Slowly, I lost everything. My home, my job, my dignity." Her voice trembled, weighted with pain and shame. Karim felt a tight knot in his throat. "I want to help," he said, "but I have a meeting soon. Here's my card. Call me at noon." Miriam clutched the card like it was a lifeline, a fragile hope amid the darkness. As Miriam stepped out of the bakery, a sudden gust of cold wind swept down the street. She hugged Lina tightly, shielding her from the chill, but the card Karim had given her slipped from her fingers, caught by the wind like a fallen leaf. She reached out desperately, but the card fluttered away, tumbling and finally disappearing down a storm-drained grate. Frantically, she searched her pockets and retraced her steps. She returned to the bakery, pleading for help, but the card was gone. She sat on a cold bench nearby, her mind spinning. She had just lost her only chance to change her life. Meanwhile, Karim checked his phone repeatedly. Noon passed, no call. 12:30, still nothing. He wondered silently, did she lie to me? Or is she trapped, unable to reach out? The next morning, Karim was on his way to the airport for a flight to Dakar. The city crawled in morning traffic. As he looked out the window, his thoughts were still with Miriam and Lina. Then suddenly, at a street corner, he saw her again. Standing there, Lina strapped to her back. "Stop the car!" Karim shouted urgently. His driver slammed the brakes. Karim rushed out, heart pounding. Miriam saw him and ran toward him, tears streaming down her face. "Sir, I'm so sorry. I lost your card. I searched everywhere." Her voice trembled with fear and relief. Karim said nothing. He opened his arms and pulled her close. "Come, no more tears. You're not alone anymore." Karim arranged for Miriam and Lina to stay in a comfortable hotel room. For the first time in months, they had a safe place to rest. She was given clean clothes, a phone, baby supplies, and most importantly, her dignity was restored. Over steaming cups of tea, Karim asked gently, "What do you want to do now?" Miriam's eyes sparkled for the first time in months. "I love sewing. I used to make dresses and scarves. I always dreamed of having a small workshop." With Karim's support, 2 weeks later, a tiny sewing shop opened in a quiet street. 2 sewing machines hummed softly, and bolts of colorful fabric lined the shelves. Miriam worked with passion, sewing beautiful pieces, slowly rebuilding her life. Customers came, smiles returned, and Lina played safely nearby. Karim would occasionally pass by, watching quietly from a distance. He no longer needed to intervene. Miriam had taken the lead. A year later, Karim returned from a long journey and visited the workshop again. The shop had blossomed. The sign was new. 2 seamstresses worked alongside Miriam, and Lina toddled happily between the fabric rolls. Miriam greeted Karim with gratitude. "I can never thank you enough. You listened when no one else did." Karim smiled. "You did the hard part. I only opened the door." In her eyes, fear was gone. Only strength and hope remained. Proof that a simple act of kindness can change a life forever.